So It Invaded is probably my most anticipated anime of this winter 2020 season, and like 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, Funimation did like a 24-hour early preview. So the first two episodes were dropped for 24 hours, and then they took it down until the official release date, which is today. So I didn't watch it then because I figured 200 people might watch it, and then they would be like, oh, where did you watch this? And then I'd get so many questions. So I waited like a good boy, and I finally got to experience my most anticipated anime, and I have to say, it was incredible. I think the idea of what this was going for is so refreshing and unique, and just lends itself to an anime setting so naturally. You have one of my favorite directors helming this series, you have basically a studio that doesn't have that great of a catalog, but all the members of the production team are incredible. You would think it was a Troika production because of everyone involved. So everything about the actual production details, the PVs, the poster image, the brief description that they gave, it seemed really interesting. And the idea of basically having a piece of technology that lets you go into a person's personality, and basically you solve cases in a way that someone's psyche, someone's personality and what they are gets represented in some form of a world, and every time you jump into this world, you don't remember who you are, you just know you have to solve the case at hand, and everyone's personality will shape into a new environment. And the fact that it's tying together into a larger conspiracy surrounding our main character's dead daughter, and how he's just hunting down this weird person who keeps connecting to all these weird anomalies, and how he keeps doing things dirty, which then throws him in prison, and he has to work for the police in a prison cell, basically. It's pretty incredible and refreshing, I have to say. I mean, to really create a setting that feels completely unique and original, or something that you can't directly say it's this. You may say, oh, of an element that you'd see in like a Psycho-Pass or something like that, sure, but the whole idea, and the idea of like these wells, which are basically this world in a person's psyche, is incredible. I absolutely love everything about this show. Right away, I was pretty much sucked in alongside the character. They kind of like throw you in, you're getting a little disoriented as if we're being summoned into a world, and then we start seeing everything just separated. Like there's basically just a city in pieces floating around. Our main character literally doesn't have all of his body there, but for whatever reason, his hand can go up there, and because he has a piece of his arm down here, it connects and he can pull things, and it just feels like, okay, this is a cool enough idea for a world as it stands. And when I was doing my What Will I Watch podcast with my friends, my friend Ryan said, you know, the idea sounds cool, but it seems more like a movie, which the first episode that you watch, you definitely can say, I wonder how they're going to make this concept a 12 or 24 anime. But then when you start learning more and more about how this isn't just the only well that we're going to experience, and we do get to experience two in these two episodes. The one is definitely more relevant than the other, but you have one girl who basically, she gets a drill in the head, and then we get to experience her well, which just has all these drill pieces just coming down and just destroying the earth. So everyone's psyche and personality is going to be a unique world that he's going to have to jump into, and I think the idea of how you have a very personal and revenge-driven story about, you know, doing things dirty because obviously the law isn't going to uncover your daughter's murder, that's interesting enough for a story, but then how you tie that together with either like a crime of the week or crime of every couple of weeks, it's completely captivating and just so anime, but also so original all in the process. Like right away, I loved our main character. I thought he had, you know, he's one of my favorite voice actors. I love what he does with all of his roles. I mean, it was like the character design, the dude doesn't even have all his body parts, but he's basically going around like Spider-Man, just attaching and, you know, reattaching, detaching. It was just really cool to watch him just kind of interact with such a broken world, and then you'd go back to the normal reality where people were watching in on him, and it was like, okay, that's actually really cool that it's not just one main perspective. We got our main character, he's interacting with a weird well-like world. That's cool enough. A lot of anime would just stick to that and say that's our perspective, but actually see that people are watching in on him and they can basically pull him out of the world at any point, and how every time he solves more clues, that can give you a lead in the actual real world of where the actual criminal is, and you can locate them and save more lives. And for the main hook of the first two episodes, you basically have a person who just wants to drill into people's head when they are alive, and like, because he did it to himself, like, his world is so shattered and destroyed, and how they represented that in form of an anime environment, I thought was incredible. Like, at first, I thought the world was just represented a broken mind, and that was all it was, you know, just an insane criminal. Like, that's all this was going to represent. But to see how he drilled into his own head, and he's still alive, and how he can look at people in this world, basically the people that he's hurt and just have either killed or is going to kill, and the idea that he sees them as shattered and broke because of what's happened, but he doesn't view his own world as shattered and broke. As you learn in the episodes that basically the person that our main character is hunting, he has to like actually go around this world as if it's actually functioning. Like he would have to go through a door even if our main character sees the door up there. For him, his world and reality is completely normal, but the people that he hurts, they are shattered and broke. It's like really cool to see how you get to learn about a criminal's psyche and how he operates, get to understand things from his perspective while also seeing things through a logical and not absolute madman's perspective, which would be our main character. And I love that. It's such an interesting concept, and your mind immediately races on how they could incorporate that to so many criminals, so many cases, but also this larger conspiracy surrounding his daughter's death. And the idea that basically every time he jumped into one of these wells, he sees his daughter, like, that has to hurt, man. Especially when you realize that once he comes out of the well, he has to really bask in that. What happened to him? Because now he remembers everything, and then he's going to start blaming himself like she was, hanging herself. I should have took her down, placed her because that's how she wanted to die, and then let the drill bit kill me. But instead, he stood there because he didn't know any better. He didn't recognize the girl at the time, and then the drill bits will kill them both. And he actually has to experience that pain and that death, and just, he seems so broken and destroyed when he's outside of these wells, these worlds, and it's like, my mind is like, this is exactly what I want to see from new anime in 2020. Something that definitely has anime character designs, anime moments, and just, you feel like it's anime 100%, but the whole idea and direction that this story could take could feel so original and unique, and this is exactly what we want to see in this new year. We want to see fresh ideas, fresh perspectives, and we want to see those great directors, those great teams and studios take their talents in the right direction and not just rehash the same thing we've already seen. Do something that feels new and interesting. And depending on how they go with this, I definitely think this could be one of the best anime of the season, and obviously only time will tell. I mean, you could have a great intro and the rest absolutely sucks, but I mean, based on these two episodes, I'm definitely loving it. And I think the idea of how they really portrayed these worlds, especially when you have a world that's basically so shattered and broke, it's a lot of white space, there isn't a lot of room, so you have to really make it feel engaging, as if, wow, this really lets your mind race. And how you saw the perspective shift around and how our character was basically pulling pieces of the city towards him, just like detaching his hand and then grabbing a piece and pulling it back because his arm's still connected, even if it looks like it's been cut a piece. Like, that's so cool to me, and I really think that this series, depending on how they take these wells, could really have some of the most interesting settings of the season without a single doubt in my mind. Like, they really went all in with the production. Sure, there was definitely wider shots that didn't look the best, but I think the idea of the scenic locations and really focusing in on our character when they had to go into more, like, really negative body reactions. Like, I mean, there's literally a girl who just, like, shoves her head into a drill because she just recognizes that this guy's insane, and then in return that basically like gives this weird sociopath what he wanted all along. He didn't really want to drill into people's head, he wanted someone to embrace it the same way he did. It's like, just the idea of how they're going to explore criminals and just really shattered minds, I think is going to be so cool, because you definitely do get a decent amount where you get stories where you focus on insane criminals and there's really good writing to understand how broken they are. But to have an extra layer where we get to like get a visual representation on what they see or what they should see, but maybe their world is so shattered they don't see it as anything other than a mundane street, but to us, it's a shattered and broken environment. Like, there are so many ways to make that incredible. And I think the idea that every time he does jump into one of these wells, like, he's a fresh start. He's like, I don't know, I guess I'm a detective. That's all I know I have to do this. I think that's actually pretty fun, because it will make it so he never grows numb to the experience, which then, in return, keeps every single time he jumps into one of these situations fresh, as if he's never going to get used to it. He's going to be like, yep, I'm this character, I'm this person, I know exactly what to do, and I understand what my objective is outside of basically just following the law. I think the idea of making it almost feel like a reset to him every single time is going to keep every single moment of this anime feeling fresh and exciting, and I love that. I just think this was an incredible first 2 episodes, and I don't really know where they want to go with the future of this story. Like, obviously, I know we're going to have new cases. It's going to link up, obviously, to this one criminal who's somehow attaching himself to this larger conspiracy, which obviously will connect to our main character's dead daughter. But at the same time, I don't know what the next well will look like. I don't know if we're going to keep seeing things in a pretty similar direction of, like, something that's really shattered and empty space. Like, there's so many ways for this show to truly flex its very creative capabilities. And obviously, there's a lot of ways for the show to fall flat on its face if it just does the same thing every single time we jump into one of these new environments. But I definitely have high hopes for this show. This was an incredibly enjoyable watch, and I kind of wish I had all the episodes, because this definitely would be a great binge show for sure. So as long as it sticks its landing, I'm going to be rewatching it in a binge as soon as it finishes. But what did everyone think of the first couple of episodes? Did you enjoy it as much as myself? Your favorite moment? Where do you think of the idea of these wells are going to go? Whatever you're feeling, do let me know. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.